Customer concern confirmed. No crank, no start. What's going on, everybody? We got ourselves a 2008 Hummer H3 come in kind of just already disassembled a little bit. When it actually got here, the BCM wasn't plugged into it and the battery was dead. But the concern is a no crank, no start. And this thing has already supposedly been diagnosed, but they're wanting a second opinion. Actually, they brought it for me to make a repair, but I don't think that's the case, and we're going with a rediagnosis just to confirm or figure something else out. I'll already go ahead and tell you that it was diagnosed as a bad BCM, but reading the technician's story about why and how he confirmed the BCM was bad makes me question it a lot. And it was at a dealership, Chevy dealership. So let me get the paper and I'm going to show you the actual print off that they gave the customer with the story the tech wrote. And we'll see what's actually going on with this. We might still find that the BCM is bad, but the story doesn't match how you would diagnose this. All right, so to kind of just not mention what dealer this is or give away any customer info or anything, I'm just going to give you a picture of the invoice. And as you can tell, I've got everything blacked out. That doesn't matter. You can tell this is the vehicle we're working on though. And if we zoom in here, we can see the story states the customer complaint is won't start. Customer states to have put in a new battery and still won't start. Key is stuck in the ignition. And then after that is where it starts the tech notes. Found HS CAN bus, I'm assuming he means high speed CAN bus, circuits 3 and 4 were in-op from the BCM while circuits 1 and 2 work. Tested circuits for continuity, past circuits were not complete through BCM. Testing pin to pin, must remove and replace BCM with a working unit to diag further. And yeah, they charged $415.99 of labor and $40 for a shop supplies charge. I'm not sure what shop supplies they would have used in a diagnosis, but whatever. I'm sure they applied a percentage probably to every ticket, or maybe just a flat rate $40 on every ticket. It just seems a strange amount, a little high for a diagnosis. But in all, customer paid $459.99 for a no crank, no start diagnosis. Seems a little excessive, but who knows? I'm sure they charged a few hours for this, and if they came to the correct conclusion, it's whatever. But the thing is that story does not make sense. Why does that not make sense? Well, in 2008, a Hummer H3 didn't have high-speed CAN bus going to the body control module. It only went to the ECM and the TCM. Yeah, so that threw up flags instantly. So to me, it's like, are they just guessing that it's BCM and the tech made up some story? Or is the tech just, I have no idea. Um, but I'm going to show you the wiring diagrams uh, for the body control module and whatnot. But we're going to diagnose this thing, figure out what's wrong with it. Okay, so I've not even scanned this thing. I've not done anything other than I've plugged the BCM back up, got a battery maintainer on this thing. So we're just going to go in here and do a scan on this thing. And I have learned that apparently the auto VIN has some glitches. So I don't know, maybe we'll try the auto VIN later, but apparently the fix is to go through scan. I'll include all that in the actual review of the Top Don Smart. And I did notice that I did have an update for the GM software, so they might have fixed the issue that I was having the other day, and it might be in that update. I do not know though. Vehicle does not support read VIN. Please manually enter. That's a little strange. Let's see. Did I have a check engine light? No, I do not have a check engine light. So I might have no comm to the ECM. Quite possibly. That is not what they said on this printout. They said BCM. So anyways, let's put the VIN number in here. 5TEN 13 162. All right, 2008 Hummer H3, that is what we have. We have a 4-speed automatic. The radio thing, usually if they're bass, they won't have a CD player. If they're level up, they'll have a CD player, and that is what this one does. So on the topology here, let's do a smart scan. See if we actually can talk to anything. So no ECM, no TCM. Oh, we do have a transfer case control module. This thing is apparently all-wheel drive. BCM has 9 faults. Some of these might be faults that were created. I have no idea because I don't know what they actually done. All I know is when I got it, the BCM was unplugged. So chances are I've got an issue with high-speed CAN, which is correct, but as I'm going to show you, it only goes to ECM and TCM and the DLC. Alright, so it's got done with the pre-scan here, and yeah, we got a bunch of codes in this thing. Transfer case control module, U1000, so class 2 data link malfunction. Then we got COM codes, some other strange codes in the BCM. Yeah, lots of class 2 codes. Class 2, class 2. So yeah, lots of class 2 stuff. And some device voltage lows. So I'm going to just clear all this stuff and see what comes back. I'm pretty positive the class 2 stuff will. And then we'll look at some diagrams because we have no comm to the ECM or TCM. So we'll figure that out. BCM, body control module, and EBCM, electronic brake control module, both have one code that come back. Device ignition ACC circuit low. Okay. And class 2 data report error. Device ignition ACC circuit low. That could be like a power feed thing. Maybe fuse missing, fuse blown. Who knows? Not too worried about it. Let's just cycle a key and try to start this thing and see if some other codes come back. So, cycle the key. Still no start. And I'm just going to start the scan over. So we'll see what happens when we get back. Alright, so we did have some more codes come back. Transfer case setting the data link fault code, as well as the BCM. It's actually setting an ignition 1 circuit low and a device ignition ACC circuit low. So then we got class 2 codes, and then no comm with the ECM. And EBCM is saying, you know, class 2 as well. Also a anti-lock brake system pressure circuit malfunction. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but that's what we got. And I really don't know which direction I want to go first. I guess really like these BCM codes, that if I've got an ignition 1 voltage or circuit low code, that could keep my ECM from powering up as well as my TCM. So that might be something easy. I'm going to look at the ECM diagram, figure out where my ignitions are, like fuse wise, check those, and see which ones go to the BCM, check those as well. So I kind of think I'm going to start there, just checking some basic power feeds. So let's actually go, let's go to our all data. All right, so with all data here, I want to first show you the data line diagrams. So I was just going based off memory that I pretty much didn't think this BCM had CAN bus, and I did look it up to confirm, and then that's when I was like, okay, we're not going to mess with doing the repair that he requested. So let's go down here to, these are OEM diagrams, so information bus, data schematics, and then data communication, and then high-speed GM LAN. So this is 6 and 14 off the DLC, as you can see right there. And then you can also see that we've got a data link resistor, which is just spliced in. And over here you can see we've got an ECM, and then a transmission control module. And that's it. There is no body control module. So you got to think, like, how is all of this other data getting to where it needs to go? Like, how does the cluster know the RPM, the coolant temp, you know, things like that? Well, it does it over low speed data, and it filters that through the BCM on low speed. So if we go over here to the low speed line, which is terminal 2 off the DLC, it goes straight to the body control module. And then the body control module internally splits it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 circuits. And the BCM is also reading within these 5 circuits. So one branch goes to cluster, transfer case, and the theft deterrent module. Another circuit goes to radio, VCIM, which is OnStar module, and digital radio receiver. Then we have the engine control module and generator battery control module, and then the airbag module and EBCM. So you can see how the ECM, when it's powered up running, will actually feed all that vital information to the BCM. The BCM just kind of daisy chains it out to all the other modules, and that's how everything gets that kind of information. So I don't understand what circuits they were referring to that doesn't pass through the BCM. The issue here is no comm with the ECM. There might be other issues, but we have no comm with the ECM, and I know for a fact the scan tool is talking to the ECM over high-speed data. Let's see if I can show you that. So here we got the data link reference diagram or spreadsheet, whatever, and it's kind of telling you how the data link is connected to that device. So as you can see, we've got EBCM, that is class 2, ECM is high speed, TCM down there is also high speed, everything else is class 2. And then it says if you've got a problem where scan tool does not communicate, we go to high speed GM LAN device. So 100%, there you go. The ECM talks on high speed with the scan tool. So scan tool isn't talking to it. We need to figure out what's wrong with the high speed, and it definitely does not go to the body control module. So they are already wrong in what they said. Replace BCM with working unit to diag further. Okay, so let's say, okay, the ECM isn't getting turned on because the body control module isn't turning on the correct thing. We could still have a bad BCM causing this. We could. It's not likely, but that's why we're going to check our powers, grounds. You know, we've got that one code in the BCM about ignition circuit. So let's just do basic powers and grounds. Okay, so here we've got the engine control module schematic for module power, ground, serial data, and the check engine light. So if we click on this, we can see the ECM here has 3 different ignitions, a battery feed, 1 ground, and then the check engine light circuit, the MIL circuit, as well as the data lines going in and out. And if we come up here, we can see all this is going to be originating in the underhood fuse box. Okay, so we have this ignition or battery ignition switch fuse that runs actually through the key switch, the actual switch. Okay, runs through the switch, and it makes its first stop. It actually has a splice in it, but it makes its first stop in the BCM, and the BCM is sampling that circuit. It then comes out of the BCM with another splice. There's actually, it's not really a splice, but there'll be more than one wire coming out of the same pin that goes over to the engine control module. So if that circuit is low, that's the one the BCM should be checking for ignition circuit voltages. So we also had the ACC circuit, or yeah, ignition ACC circuit low or something like that. So do we even have power getting to our ignition switch? So let's get out and check this battery ignition switch. It is fuse 5 and it's a 10 amp. Okay, so I'm just got my little test light here, and this has already been messed with. I don't really know why, but we are looking for fuse number 5, which is right here. And then if we confirm that over here, battery ignition switch 10 amp. So the way this sets in here, we have connector here, big fuse here. So big fuse and connector. So 5 is right there. And if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, should be that one. And it does look like there's some fuses missing, but they may not actually need them. So let's just clip our test light on here and check, make sure it's good. And number 5. So we got power on that side of it and that side of it. All right, so fuse is good. Is it getting to the switch, and is the switch sending it out? Well, here's our electrical connection to the switch. So let me try to get some back probes or something in here. I might have to take this piece off to really get in there good. So I got the knee bolster off. Here's our harness here, and it runs into this connector, and if you see this, that is a aftermarket T-tap. I have no idea what it's going to, but that is a white and red wire, and coming out of the ignition switch we have a red and white wire. If you look at our diagram, we have a red and white wire that's coming out of this going to our body control module and our ECM. So is this the culprit? I don't know, but I do not like that, and I don't want to mess with it too much in case that is what the issue is. I really don't know what they've got this going to. It's running to something else up in there. You can see some crimp caps, some other wiring here. It looks like it was an aftermarket radio at one time because there's a microphone there, but it does have a factory radio in it now. So I don't want to touch this too much just in case this is actually cut. Because these T-taps, they're pretty bad about cutting wires. So I'm going to get something a little more delicate than this to probe that with, I believe. Alright, so I've got the key on. We're in the on position. We're still a no start. And I've got my voltmeter and my test lamp that is on the 1/2 amp setting. And I'm just grounded to this piece of frame here. And we're just going to very carefully get this up in here and try not to wiggle too much. And there's nothing. Not real sure if I'm getting in there good enough. Let's see. My power feed should be a white and black. So this would be my power feed, I believe. It's hard to do one-handed. Let me just unplug it here, and I just want to verify I've got my white and black. Okay, white and black. Right there. And nothing. Is this a good ground? Don't know. I'm thinking that I don't have power feed to the switch, even though the fuse is good. Let me get a better ground, and we'll recheck this. I've got my meter here. This is actually run all the way out to the battery ground, and just to confirm, we've got a cigarette lighter here, and if I just kind of stick this into the center pin there, you see that lights up. We got 13.4. So here our diagram shows the black, or the white with black, pin 2. So we've got a white and black in pin 2, and if I back probe this, we have nothing. So from this ignition switch to that fuse, the circuit is open. Do we have a bad BCM? Not likely. If it doesn't have ignition feed, it's not going to work. And we are setting a code for the ignition feed. So let me get the, well, I got the diagram. It shows X2 pin 12. So let me figure out what connector that is on that fuse box, and let's just test it coming out of the fuse box. So we're going to go down to connector views here in the wiring diagrams section. We're still, if we close the OE, you see wiring or connector views. And we're looking for fuse box, fuse block. Okay. So we've got, of course, the label, the fuse numbers and descriptions and fuse rating. And then we got the top view. So we see C3 is on the top, C1 and C2 is on the bottom. Now, why do they call them C in these views but call them X in diagrams? I have no idea, but in the diagram, X is for connector, so we need C2. And we kind of have this other little plug. This other little plug is empty, so we need the one opposite of that. And then our pin, see down here they even call them X2, or see X1. Let's scroll down here to X2, and it was pin 12, I think. Battery positive voltage, no. Might have to go back and look at the other diagram to remember what the pin number was. Well, my memory was right, it was 12. And it is an orange wire coming out of the fuse box. It goes through connector X200 and then connector X201, where it changes to white and black, and then goes to the ignition switch. So since this is here, this has to be X201, and on the opposite side of where, I know y'all are not going to be able to see this very well. It's not going to focus, but this white and black wire right here does turn to orange on the other side here. So this is one of our connectors. There's another connector somewhere, probably out under the hood maybe, but it is pin 12 and it's an orange. So let's go check that. All right, so I'm not sure if y'all be able to see this or not, but in this corner here, we've got pin 1 and it runs to 10 and then resets over to 11 here. So 12 is going to be this pin right here, the second one on the second row. And here's our connector. And I don't know if y'all are going to be able to see this or not, but the one we're after is this one right here. So this orange wire here is pin 1. So we're needing this one here. And get in here with my back probe right there. So hopefully you guys can see which one I'm in. And we have power. Our bulb is lit up. We got power. So we have power coming out of our fuse block. So somewhere between fuse block and ignition switch, we've got an open circuit. So now we get the fun of tracking that down. Now in this instance, some extra diag time would be warranted. Right now my diagnosis is I've got a broke wire between the fuse box and the ignition switch. Diagnosis is done to me. Now I switch gears into wiring, what I call wiring repair or something of that nature, where I know I've got a broken wire. I'm no longer diagnosing, I'm finding. So my diagnostic fee is already done. They could come get it if they wanted to. I have a diagnosis. I would now go, okay, here's the diagnosis. We have a broke wire from this point to this point. If you want me to go further, it's going to be X amount per hour to find this break. That's how I would do this. This circuit is kind of a longer run. I can break it down into sections, but a lot of the stuff might be a little hard to get to. So that's why I do it that way. Once I know the wire is broke, I'm not really diagnosing anything anymore. So this is where I would call the customer and say, hey, this is what I found. Do you want me to go further? And that's how I would move forward. So let me find out what they want to do. I'm sure he's going to say continue on, because I mean he's already paid $460. Go away. Wow, I hate red wasp. But he's already paid $460 for a wrong diagnosis. They are 100% wrong now. Could we still have a bad BCM? Could we still have bad computers? Yes, but until further diagnosis can be done, this broke wire has to be found and fixed. And I think I've said it in a few videos now that I do not do overlays. I could temporarily jump power from here to the ignition switch, basically jumping around the brake to further confirm modules, but that would still really be more diagnostic time. The complaint that I'm dealing with is a no start, no crank, nothing. So that's where I'm at. So let me call the customer and see what he wants to do. Well, I know you guys are gonna want to see it, so I'm doing it anyway, just for you guys. Got my test leads here. They're jump together. They're going all the way out to battery positive out there. And I'm running it through my test lot. So I have both filaments tied in together. So 2 amp, get here where you can guys see this. My 2 amp and my half amp put together. So 2.5 amps. I'm going to limit the current by 2.5 amps by feeding it through my bulb. Okay, and I'm back probed here into the pin 2, the white and black wire. So I'm in there good. So let's turn the key on and see what happens. Diagnosis confirmed. We have a broke wire, and quite possibly that's the only thing wrong with this truck. Not that, and definitely not the CAN bus wires going to that. So they definitely got it wrong. Completely got it wrong. What we have found, I basically went from connector to connector. The connector over here, that you're not even going to be able to see, is X200, and then this is X201. And then what I showed before, I think, is at the connector here. Let me get my back probe in here. We have no power. Okay, that's back probed. When I got to looking at it real close with flashlight, I know y'all ain't gonna be able to see. I don't think I can get you in there to where you could see, but I found some corrosion. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to get that in there. Okay, but I found some corrosion, and just going up just a couple millimeters away from the connector, there you go. So I got corrosion in this terminal that has basically broken that wire. Try to get you in here a little bit. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to get it, but we're gonna try. You can kind of see some on, come on, focus. See a little bit on this black wire right here, and just a tiny bit on this orange wire right here. So you can see where I pierced it, just sticking my needle in it, and I had power, but back probed, did not have power. So our issue is this little connector harness here. Did a little tug test, broke right off. So I got the little combs out, and you can actually see on this one where it basically was kind of arcing a little bit, I think, but looking into the actual connector, let's see, you can kind of see, my hand's gonna be in the way. Looking into the connector here, you can kind of see where the wire was just broke apart in there, and there's also some corrosion on these other terminals. And then if I flip it around, looking into the end of it, you see some more of the green crusties in there. So luckily I've already pulled on all these other ones. None of these other ones are weak and breaking, giving them all pretty good little pulls. So just this power one so far, you can tell it's broke off down in there. So I'm just going to try to find me a terminal, replace it, and I'm going to clean these other ones up. So the game plan is actually, I'm just going to solder this back together here. So I stripped off just a little bit of the broke wire, and I'm actually crimping it at the section that would crimp around the insulation, I'm going to put a lot of flux on here, heat that up real good with a soldering iron, and solder that back together. And it should be good. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to get in here to see this or not, but I've got me some flux on there, and I'm just going to heat it up with my soldering iron, let that flux kind of burn out all the corrosion and stuff. Let me add a little bit more to it here. What will happen is that'll actually like bubble up a lot when it's getting hot enough to burn that corrosion out of there. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see that in the video or not, but it's okay. We're going to take some solder, feed some solder into the joint here. Letting it flow. And that'll also help push some of the corrosion out as well. There we go. And then while it's still hot, we can pull this insulation down a little bit, stretch it back over the wire. Kind of give some protection there at the top edge. But yeah, it's ready to clean the rest of the terminals up and stick it back together. Alright, moment of truth. I have got it all put back together, and we're going to see if it is fixed. Hopefully the battery is charged. There we go. We're running. So we'll do another scan on it, clear the codes, make sure we don't have any other codes. Let's see. We'll go back into scan. Let's turn it off and we'll clear these codes. So we got it running again, and it's got park brake because parking brake is set. And oh, this one. There we go. It's actually, let's see. Yeah, we're in park. Okay, so that message goes away, and now we're just left with a door and an airbag light, apparently. And this seat is, yeah, so that might be the airbag. So let's do another scan. Alright, so the code scan is finished, and as you can see, we've got codes in the SIR and the PPS. So SIR is airbag module, PPS is passenger present system, and both of them are 13 codes. I'm sure these are maybe issues with the seats being unplugged, perhaps. It still says lost comm with engine control module. I don't really know why, but it might just be a bad airbag module. I don't really know, but it starts, it runs until it's put back together. I'm not gonna worry with the airbag codes. He's probably gonna put it all back together himself. I don't know if he wants to pay me to do it or not, but anyways, the truck is fixed. You can see we've got comm with our ECM now, and there's no code setting currently. Just go in here and just look at some random live data just to show you that we have communication. This is this is the other thing I do not like on airflow sensors, mass airflow sensors. Why can I not get grams per second? To get grams per second, I have to go out to the settings. You can change the units to metric. Okay, and then when I go back, I now have grams per second, but my air temperature and everything else is in Celsius. I don't like Celsius. I don't know. I can't do the math in my head, and I really can't do bar. But luckily, sometimes, oh, nope, not on this one. Sometimes it'll give me PSI. I can change it to PSI, but I don't know the metric system as far as pressures and temperatures go. You tell me 32 degrees Celsius, I don't know if that's hot or cold. I really don't. Apparently it's hot because it's getting pretty hot outside. So I really wish I could change and set defaults for things. And really what I don't understand is my old launch scan tool. It's a Maximus 2.0, real old. It gives me grams per second, and then all my temperatures are in Fahrenheit. I can change temperatures to Fahrenheit, like in settings, and then pressures, I can set them in PSI. Why did they do away with that? I have no idea. But anyways, the truck's fixed. We have good live data. Everything's working. So if you guys enjoyed this one, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and if you're a dealership tech, if you're gonna lie on an invoice, at least make it plausible. We had no issues with this BCM, and actually the BCM set a circuit code for a circuit you should have tested, and yet your story says it's CAN bus lines to a module that doesn't have CAN bus lines. So I really don't understand what happened with the dealership. They missed it pretty bad, and then wrote up the story that doesn't even make sense. It's not plausible. And there was a circuit code, an ignition circuit code, that told you what was wrong with the car. You just had to figure out where the problem was. So I don't know. But anyways, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one. So I have an update. I went and had a conversation with the service director at the dealership, and he was frankly not very surprised at all. He basically was kind of upfront. It's like, we bought this dealership. We knew it had a bad reputation. We've been trying to turn it around. We're just having a real hard time getting quality techs in here. And he even said, I remember this truck. I kind of come in towards the end of this truck being here. And it was basically kind of what he was saying, which is understandable, is like when you first come in, you have to just trust that whoever you have is doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they know what they're doing. But he was honest, and it was like I felt bad when that truck left, still broken, and I didn't have a very good feeling about it anyways. But you've got to trust your people, and he did. So when he found out, or whenever I got in contact with him about it, he wasn't too surprised at all. And we had a nice long conversation, and from what he's saying, I don't know for sure or not. I have not heard again from the customer, but he said he is going to try to reach out to the customer. He's actually going to refund him the full amount that he paid the dealership, as well as what the customer paid me. So the customer should get reimbursed for both tickets, and he said, I just want to do that because I'm trying to change this place, trying to get it turned around, trying to get it to where it's a good dealership again. So that's nice of him. The customer picked up their truck. He was extremely happy. He was just thrilled his truck was running again, because it was actually at the dealership for a little over 2 months. So it's kind of a long period this truck was down for something very simple. And I even told the manager, I was like, the thing that just struck me was how the story was just not even plausible for the truck. And he's like, yeah. He's like, I didn't even read the story or anything like that until it was brought back up to my attention this morning. And it is very concerning, is what he said. So the customer should be getting a full refund from the dealership, as well as a bonus of what he paid me, and that should make him even more happy. So that's just a little bit of an update on it. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you guys later.